Most people spend their entire lives trying to learn, but they never actually master anything. What if you could condense years of skill acquisition into mere months? That is the promise of Ultralearning, the groundbreaking book by Scott H. Young. Today, we are breaking down the blueprint to becoming an elite learner, a superpower in our increasingly competitive economy. If you have ever felt stuck, incapable of breaking into a new field, or frustrated by how slow progress feels, you are exactly where you need to be. Let's start with the absolute foundation, meta-learning. Before you even think about cracking open a textbook or signing up for a generic online course, you need to map out your journey. Think of this as your strategic blueprint. Most people dive headfirst into a subject, wasting weeks on irrelevant material. The Ultralearner does the opposite. They research how the target skill actually works. They ask, what are the core concepts? Who are the experts? What are the best resources available? I want you to stop for a second and think about a skill you've failed at in the past. Did you have a map? Or were you just wandering blindly through a forest of information? When you start with meta-learning, you aren't just working harder, you are working smarter. You are identifying the why and the how before you commit your time. You investigate the structure of the skill, the underlying principles that govern performance. By doing this, you identify the most high-leverage activities to practice first. It's not about knowing everything, it's about knowing what truly matters. We are going to explore 9 more principles that will redefine how you approach growth, so keep listening as we peel back the layers of this mastery framework.
Once you have your map, you cannot hide behind theory. This brings us to Principle 2, directness. Too many people fall into the trap of passive learning. They watch videos, they read books, they take notes, and they feel like they are learning, but they aren't practicing. To learn efficiently, you must learn by doing the actual thing you want to master. If you want to learn a language, stop using flashcards all day and start speaking with native speakers. If you want to code, stop watching tutorials and build a software application. Immerse yourself in the real environment. It is terrifying, it is uncomfortable, and it is exactly where growth happens. Now combine that with Principle 3, attack your weaknesses. Every skill has components you find easy and components you find punishingly difficult. Most people naturally spend their time practicing what they are already good at because it makes them feel productive. That is a mistake. The Ultralearner does the inverse. They identify their biggest bottleneck, the one component that is preventing them from moving to the next level, and they isolate it. Are you still with me? I want you to honestly reflect on your current project. What is the one thing you are avoiding because it is too hard? Maybe it's the grammar in a new language, the complex logic in a programming framework, or the technical aspect of a musical instrument. That is your bottleneck. Isolate that single, uncomfortable component. Drill it until it becomes easy. Don't move on until you've mastered that specific piece. By attacking your weaknesses directly, you aren't just adding speed, you are removing the barriers that have held you back for years. Mastery is not about being well-rounded. It is about systematically eliminating the gaps in your capability.
Moving on, let's talk about how to keep that information locked in your brain. Principle 4 is retrieval beats review. We've all been there, rereading a textbook chapter 3 times, highlighting every sentence, and convincing ourselves we know the material. But when it comes time to use it, nothing. That is because reading is passive. Real learning requires active effort. When you test yourself instead of rereading, you are forcing your brain to retrieve information. That struggle, that is the sound of neural connections being strengthened. Use flashcards, use the Feynman technique, or simply close the book and summarize what you just read on a blank page. But even with better retrieval, you need to know if you're heading in the right direction. That is where Principle 5 comes in. Seek aggressive feedback. We all have an ego, and our ego hates being told we are wrong. It wants to hide from criticism. But growth is impossible without feedback loops. You need immediate, corrective information to adjust your trajectory. How are you handling criticism right now? Are you taking it personally, or are you using it as data? The best learners develop a thick skin. They separate the helpful, actionable data from the emotional noise of the critique. If someone tells you your work is bad, don't get angry. Ask them why and how to make it better. It's about speed. If you are learning, you want that feedback loop to be as tight as possible. The faster you know you are wrong, the faster you can correct yourself and move toward mastery. This is how you outsmart the competition, not by avoiding mistakes, but by making them, correcting them, and learning from them faster than anyone else around you. Now that you are retrieving and getting feedback, let's discuss retention. Principle 6 is overlearn for retention. You have reached a level of basic proficiency. Great. But if you stop there, you will forget it within a month. Ultralearning demands you push past these initial limits. Practice beyond a basic mastery level. By practicing when you are tired or when you are already confident, you deepen those neural connections. It is the difference between remembering something and knowing it instinctively. And to make sure that knowledge sticks, we use Principle 8, use spaced repetition. If you try to cram everything into one giant, exhausting weekend, you will experience a rapid decline in recall. That is the human forgetting curve in action. Instead, you need to space out your study sessions over days, weeks, and months. By reviewing information at increasing intervals, you reset the forgetting curve and lock that knowledge into long-term memory. Wait, I see some of you thinking that this sounds like a lot of work, and you're right, it is. But consider the alternative, spending years on a skill only to realize you've forgotten 80% of what you learned. Is that the path you want? Of course not. These two principles, overlearning and spaced repetition, are your insurance policy against lost progress. They ensure that the time you invest today pays dividends for years to come. Think about your goals again. Are you just trying to get through a task, or are you trying to build lasting mastery? If it's the latter, you have to commit to these principles. Don't just learn it for the test, learn it for life. We have covered how to learn and how to retain, but none of that works if you cannot focus. Principle 7 is build high focus. In a world of constant notifications, endless social media scrolls, and the persistent hum of digital distraction, focus is a superpower. You need to carve out distraction-free time blocks. Not 15 minutes of trying to focus, but deep, dedicated periods where your phone is in another room and your browser tabs are closed. What happens when you sit down and just can't start? You face the universal enemy, procrastination. How do you beat it? Use the 5-minute rule. Tell yourself you only have to work on the task for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Once you start, the friction disappears, and you'll find yourself working for much longer. It's about managing your mental state to match the task. If you are doing intense analytical work, you need deep focus. If you are doing creative work, you might need a different state entirely. Does this resonate with you? Think about how much of your day is actually deep work versus shallow work. Most of our time is spent in shallow, distracted states. Imagine if you could double the amount of deep work you do every single day. The compounding effect over a year would be absolutely staggering. It's not just about willpower. It's about environment design and ritual. When you protect your focus, you're protecting your most valuable asset. Stop giving away your attention to things that don't contribute to your goals. You are the architect of your own focus. Take control of it.
We are nearing the end, and we have one final, powerful set of principles. Principle 9. Experiment freely. You have the map, the focus, and the feedback. Now, go beyond the standard methods. Explore techniques that feel outside your comfort zone. Test different angles, different hypotheses, and different workflows. What works for someone else might not work for you. Finding your unique learning superpower comes from experimentation. Don't be afraid to try something that looks weird if it helps you reach your outcome faster. Finally, Principle 10. Concrete projects win. This is the glue that holds everything together. Choose a final, tangible outcome. Don't just learn photography. Plan to build a portfolio of 20 high-quality portraits. Don't just learn programming. Build a product that solves a real problem. When you anchor all your learning to a concrete, challenging project, you stay motivated. It gives you a reason to push through the hard parts, a reason to seek feedback, and a reason to focus. Are you still with me? This is the most important part. A project gives your learning a deadline and a standard of excellence. It forces you to synthesize everything we have talked about. Without a project, learning is a series of abstract tasks. With a project, it is a journey toward a destination. Think about it. What is the single project that, if completed, would change your career or your life trajectory? Start defining it right now. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to be concrete. And that brings us to the most important call to action, because if you don't act now, you'll just drift back into your old habits. If you found this breakdown of Scott H. Young's Ultralearning valuable, then you need to make sure you don't miss our future deep dives into books that can radically improve your life. This channel is dedicated to giving you the tools to optimize your career, your mind, and your future. So right now, yes, right now, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. Sharing this video with one friend who you know is trying to master a new skill can be the nudge they need to actually start. When you subscribe, you aren't just following a channel, you are joining a community of people who are committed to constant, aggressive self-improvement. We are here to master the hard stuff and outsmart the competition. Engage with us in the comments. Tell me, what is the one skill you are going to commit to using these Ultralearning principles? I want to see your projects, your goals, and your successes. Did you find a particular principle that you've been struggling with? Let's talk about it. Remember, the difference between a dreamer and a master is the willingness to do the hard work consistently. Thank you for listening, for engaging, and for investing in yourself. Now, get to work, and I will see you in the next video.